Excuse me for the bad video quality as I'm recording this on my phone right now, and I'm not prepared to talk about stuff like this, but right now I am at my local AMC theaters where I'll be watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I did come prepared. I had to wear my t-shirt, but this is probably going to be one of the toughest Marvel films to ever be put out, considering what's happened the past 2 years and the whole new direction that they had to go with. So I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but I'm also nervous at the same time. So I am here an hour early. I'm trying to beat the lines, trying to beat the concessions, so I should probably get in there. For those who have seen my other videos and are subscribed to my channel, you guys know how I usually start off this video, but I've tried this multiple times already, and with this being a tough film to review and also all the circumstances, it's very nerve-wracking to talk about this film, but I have to be honest with my opinion. I have to give it because I'm a critic and it's part of my job, so Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the 30th film within the MCU and is a direct sequel to Black Panther back in 2018. To make a film like this, it's actually pretty ballsy coming from both Disney and Marvel. After the tragic death of King T'Challa, Wakanda is in need of a new protector and hero as they try to defend their nation against Namor and his rising civilization. In all honesty, I have not been the biggest fan of the MCU films lately, but with this being the final film to come out within Phase 4, and what I just experienced coming out of this theater was not only the best film for Marvel this year, but also they ended Phase 4 on a good note. I'm not going to give away who is the new Black Panther because they haven't really said that in the trailer, so I'm just going to say this. The new Black Panther within this film, and you probably are guessing at who it is, I'm not going to say who though, but it is a character that was in the first film that had a small role, but they have been upgraded to a much bigger role, and I think I even like this character more. Now, even though this person has a special connection with T'Challa, this new Black Panther is not trying to recreate what T'Challa did. It's trying to be its own character, it's trying to have its own story, and I think Marvel handled that pretty well, and I'm actually heavily invested into this new version that if this is the direction that they want to go for, I'm all full on board with it. Also, what I like about this film, it feels more self-contained compared to other MCU films. Because when you watch other MCU films, they are pretty much a sequel to another film and another film and another film. But no, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is actually a direct sequel to the 2018 film where you don't really have to watch any of the other Marvel films to know what's going on. Yes, Wakanda Forever does reference a few films, but it doesn't do it to where it impacts the story. And to my personal opinion, this is how Marvel should have been acting upon their other superhero films. They shouldn't all be convoluted and tie-ins and all that. They should be self-contained, and I think that's what makes Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and also the first Black Panther film, to stood out that much. And I really do like this franchise. I can actually see myself watching Black Panther without any of the Marvel films. It doesn't need that. And for the villain, Namor, well, technically, I wouldn't say he's a villain because they actually have mentioned in the film that he is, in fact, an anti-hero. Namor is the protector of his own civilization, which, even though in the comics, which I do have right here, Namor is pretty much Marvel's Aquaman. But the thing is, they can't really go with that route because they pretty much have a lot of similar backstories. The mom was the Queen of Atlantis, the dad was a human, they had a baby together, and then they are just two worlds, and they're the King of Atlantis. And Marvel didn't want to do that, which I was not a big fan of because I actually wanted to see Marvel's version of Atlantis, but I get why they had to do it. Even though technically Namor was published first in the Marvel comics before Aquaman, so technically Aquaman ripped off Namor, but it's just that Aquaman is more popular. But on the other side, they actually reference that Namor is a mutant, so yeah, mutants in the MCU. I'm finally I know they referenced that in the TV shows already, but thank God it's actually in the movies now. So instead, they scrapped the whole Atlantis idea and made him come from more of a original idea, which was a Mayan culture. And comparing it to what I've read in these comics and actually seen in the actual movie, this is actually a better version of Namor. Also, Namor felt a little personal to me because I know we have our first main superhero that is coming from a Hispanic background. I'm not really counting America Chavez because America Chavez is more on the supporting side character. Although I do like Chavez, it's just that Namor just seemed more interesting to me. They do give a lot of background on why this character does what he does. I do understand him, and I think a lot of audiences are going to as well. So he's not a bad guy from his perspective, but to other people, he's considered a threat and very dangerous. But then again, that's what makes him an anti-hero. I'm not 100% sure if Marvel does have full rights to Namor for a solo film, because I think they had this whole issue with Universal, but don't quote me on that, I'm just saying. But if it's possible, if they do have the rights to this character, I want to see a Namor film, because I do think that there is so much potential with this new world and underwater exploration that Marvel has established now, that it just can't be ignored. I want to see a different side of Marvel. We've seen it in space, we've seen it on land, I want to go underwater now. The last good thing I can really say about this film is that it is, in fact, a good tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It did make me choke up a little, because I never thought that I would actually do that, considering that I've seen a lot of films, but knowing to how much the Black Panther meant to so many people out there and how much it's been a culture phenomenon. I've said a lot of bad things about Marvel in the past, but when they actually get very serious and they have emotional weight, it's really good. And I have no complaints about that. They really do know how to pull off very dramatic moments, and this film does really hit you. The only complaints I can really say about this film is just that the story is not as good as the first film, but then again, I think that's only because of the absence of Chadwick Boseman and how they had to take this whole new direction, which that's not easy to do. They were still able to pull off a very good film. It's just, I just think it's just slightly not as good or as investing as the first film. And also the bad CGI is still there. I don't think it's as bad as the first Black Panther film, but then again, I was not convinced that the CGI in this film was like real. Also within the third act, I did think that it did drag a little bit too long, that I started yawning. Not because I was not invested into the film, I was. It just kept proning on and on and on. And I was like, just get to the next scene. And then the last thing I really just gotta say is Martin Freeman, even though he's a CIA agent that we have seen in Black Panther before, he did have a purpose in that first film. He's just in the background in this one, and they gave so much attention to Martin Freeman. Now, I do like him. I appreciate him as Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit, but he didn't need to be in this movie. And I don't know why they had to, but it's pretty much an easy paycheck for Martin, I'll tell you that. But at the end of the day, Marvel did end this film off on a good note. I want to see a Black Panther 3. I want to see a Namor solo film. And I'm just more curious to see how they're going to continue on with the story, even though what they just did right now was very heartfelt and also very tough. This is not an easy film to make. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think about this entire movie. And I'm going to repeat what I just said. This is in fact the best Marvel film to come out this year. It's not the best superhero film, even though I wasn't a fan of all the other films. This is actually something that I would buy on Blu-ray DVD. So for the final score, I'm going to give Black Panther Wakanda Forever an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Look forward to more movie reviews to come along in the future. And also, I just want to acknowledge this popcorn bucket that I got at AMC. It even lights up. This is probably my favorite steel bucket that I have right now. So anyways, if you haven't already, subscribe here to the channel for more content. And also, Wakanda Forever.